Good morning.
We're gonna good morning in a second. Good morning. My name is Dr. Felice Cellini. I'm blessed and grateful to be in recovery. This is our Sunday morning Why Wait for Recovery community meeting. Welcome.
Good morning. My name is Haiti, and I'm so blessed and grateful to be in recovery. I'm a compulsive overeater. I'm an emotional eater. I'm a binger. I'm a purger. I'm a food addict, and I'm a drug addict who is in recovery.
I'm a drug addict, alcoholic in recovery, anorexic in recovery. Welcome, everybody. So I have no idea what
what we do is every single week we get together twice a week. We have these free community meetings that are open to anyone all around the world. You're able to either step into our room physically. If you're in Southeast Florida, we are in Davie. Or you can live stream us on YouTube, Why Wait for Recovery, or on Facebook. We also have our waiting room, which is a virtual room that you can step into if you have got Wi-Fi, and we have people from all around the world that actually join us. So now is a really good time to hop into the room if you want to.
Okay, and so this month we were talking about faith, and we are...
Wait 1 second.
I'm gonna wait 1 second.
1 sec. So what we actually do is many people work different programs. We are just two friends in recovery who are discussing our strength, our hope, our experiences, and we get together with other friends and we have a discussion. We kind of a next step solution. It doesn't denigrate anything else that's out there because there are amazing programs. This is just something that we do as an add-on.
Right, so we're not affiliated with any of the other 8 programs. We're just 2 girls in recovery talking about our recovery. So thanks for joining us this morning and being a part of our recovery.
Right, and if anyone's looking to join us here, we're in the West Broward Club, which is an awesome venue. So
in Davie, in South Florida. So come and join us out here as well. So this month, we're talking about faith, and today we're going to talk about before and after recovery. And what it looked like before we were in recovery, which for most of us was a pretty scary, fearful, horrible, lonely, self-degradating place to be, or at least it was for me. And when we first step into recovery, how it's really kind of scary too. Actually, first we get abstinent, and then we get some recovery so that we could stay abstinent, and the recovery part teaches us how to get some happy. And so we do that, and we still deal with life and our struggles, and we just have a lot more happy that we get to take a look at too. And we find that getting that happy is about changing our perspective and having acceptance and having some faith and understanding that the way that I feel this second is only for this second, and that feelings aren't facts, they're just feelings. Good morning. And that we can learn to relive, and we can learn to see things differently so that we can be happy.
So my faith as an addict in recovery shifted over time, you know, especially on the food side, because food for me is they're all insidious. Any of our addictions are really insidious, but especially on the food side, because my faith was that if I did HCG or I did this diet, I would look different and I'd be thin, and when I was thin, everything would be perfect, which was very different than when I was using my other drugs in terms of my mindset, because that brought me, it was a different, for me, I want to focus on the food today because I just feel this is where I'm at. So the before and after that I looked at was a thin me was a happy me. I have bariatric surgery, lose 1 million pounds, whatever it is, still feel empty and miserable on the inside. So really it's a different kind of perspective, and the perspective is the faith in recovery looks very different. I came into the rooms miserable, empty, ashamed, guilty, demoralized. I'd beaten myself up. I still go through stages that I think I'm worthless, I'm useless, all these different things. So it was really, I thought if I found that perfect diet, everything would be okay. And I thought the way that me talking about my feelings were not that important, or how I was feeling on the inside wasn't that important. What I looked like on the outside was the most important thing.
Yeah, and so we're going to talk about, since we're going to talk about the weight today, I'm going to spend a couple seconds talking about, you know, patients that present in the office that are post-surgery. And so I want to talk about that a little bit, because I have a lot of patients that present after their surgery and are completely baffled because they look good on the outside, but they don't feel any differently. And they're still sad, and they're still miserable, and they're still fearful. You guys, we know that fear, all of our negative emotions are fear-based, right? So fear means I'm gonna lose what I have, or I'm not gonna get what I want. And so what do we care about getting what we want when we lose the weight? We care first about getting praise from others. So remember, when I have no feeling of my own self-worth and I have no happy with inside of myself, then I'm gonna look to you, Sarah, and hope that Sarah sees me as something actually that I'm not, or that she can define something maybe that I am. Because now I'm not weak, and I'm not worthless, and I'm not, because you see me as being thin. And it doesn't work that way, you guys. And so getting thin doesn't make us happy. And I can promise you that post-surgically, if nothing changes, nothing will change. And you can eventually, you know, listen, having the surgery was a super important step for a lot of people. It takes you right into healthy, right? Because you start losing the weight and a lot of the health issues that you have go away. And in the beginning, we're gonna use the word can't. In the beginning, you can't eat the amount of stuff that you were eating or the same stuff that you were eating before. And so you're gonna lose weight, lose weight, lose weight, lose weight. But it's not gonna change the way that you feel. And the majority of people, if they don't change the reasons for what they're doing, for why they're doing what they're doing, then they're gonna continue to have the same behavior and they will gain their weight back.
So I just wanted to add something because I'm still adjusting to a new time change, so I'm a little discombobulated. But faith for me, because this is how we started with the question of faith. So faith when I was using was faith that I'd keep on, that what I was doing was working, and that was a comfortable space for me, and that's what I knew every single day, and I knew what the outcome was. It would either be good or would be bad, and I knew how it was going to end. Faith walking into recovery looks very, very different, because at the low point that I came in, I knew the way that I was thinking wasn't working, because I kept doing the same things over and over and over again, expecting different results.
Yeah, and so I think that we're, go ahead.
Sorry, so I just want to finish. So it takes a certain amount of faith to believe in something beyond ourselves, that if we reach a point where we are so miserable and so unhappy that we're looking for something different, most of us at that point don't know what that looked like, because it took me 52 years. I've been thinking the same way and thought that I had it down pat, and it obviously wasn't working because it left me miserable and demoralized. So I had to step into program and take that first courageous step of stepping into a meeting, coming however it looked, to be able to try something different. You know, and doing bariatric surgery for me was my rehab. That ultimately was myself putting myself into rehab as a food addict. That was a quick fix to a solution for me. But when we start questioning faith, it comes taking that next step or doing something different is really one of the reasons why you and I started doing these broadcasts, so that we could offer people a different kind of solution, because the solution at the end of the day is what is going to make us happy.
Right, and so in the beginning, when you talk about having faith when we're in active addiction, and using that word faith, that we know that if we use, our life's gonna look the way that it does, I think that's more of an expectation. Right. So we'll use that word expectation. Okay. And then in the beginning, you had no faith, right? In the beginning, before we started working together, which is what happens when we stop using. I don't think very many of us have faith when we use faith as a positive word, not as an expectation. Okay. So faith that the world is going to turn the way that it does, no matter what we think and no matter what we do, right? That we're only, you know, my perspective and my actions are my own. The way that the world turns and your perspective and your actions have nothing to do with me. And so when you talk about having some faith, it took you a while before you realized too, and this is with all of us, you know, we all think that we're gonna get clean and life is gonna get better. But we get clean, we stop using our drug of choice, and spiritually we don't change. We're just clean. So now we're clean and miserable. Now I'm clean. I'm having whatever challenges I'm having, and I don't have my go-to, I don't have my default, which is my drug of choice, to use when I'm feeling happy, or when I'm feeling sad, or when I'm feeling scared, or when it's Tuesday, because that's what I'm used to doing. And so we're gonna talk about doing what's right just because we do the next right thing, and understanding that the universe still turns the way that it does. And that in the beginning we were still really sick and scared, right? Until we got some faith, until I could take a look at you and say, hey, you know what, even in the beginning, just to be able to take a look at you and say, hey, you did it and you're getting a little happy. So maybe that'll give me some faith that my life can be different, until I learn how to change my perspective, how to walk in gratitude, how to stop counting your blessings instead of my own. how to stop doing those things that kept us sick and scared, and as the end result kept us using.
And I think there's also that huge element of faith, you know, that question of where do we get that strength and that courage from? And some of us get it from the group, some of us get it from higher power. I mean, whatever it is, there's something beyond ourselves, because if we're just relying on ourselves all the time, we land up in the same place where we started. So it's really being able to tap into that energy of something else that, you know, no matter what we do, the sun's going to rise, the sun's going to set. There's certain things. Hopefully. I mean, and if it's not, faithfully it won't. Whether it does or it doesn't, it's not something we can control.
Right.
So it's really being able to know that if we step up and do the next right thing, no matter, without expectation, because that's a huge thing for me, is doing the next right thing because it is the right thing, not because I'm going to get something or because of a reaction or whatever, but doing the next right thing. For me, just knowing that things are going to be what they're going to be and deal with it as it happens.
Right. And that, yes.
So I don't know if this was already said or not, but I was just thinking, like, you guys are talking about faith and expectation. I think in the beginning, that's not
Speak up, baby. Speak more slowly, please.
That I was saying that you guys are talking about faith and expectation, and I think in the beginning, when we step into recovery, or even before that, that's not in the realm of our vocabulary. We don't know there's such a thing as faith. I mean, we know there's faith, but it's not in our thought process. And go ahead.
Yeah, no, exactly. So that's what I was just saying. So in the beginning, we have a whole lot of scared, right? We're not using, and we know that we're doing something that's right so that physically we're not sick. But we don't actually understand, I don't think in the beginning, that we're going to be able to be happy.
Right.
Because for me in the beginning was, how the F am I going to live this life without using? What's going to happen when I'm scared?
I think we look at it kind of backwards. We look at the loss or what's not there, and then when we get into recovery, we learn about recovery, then we are able to switch our perspective and look at it from the other way.
Right. And so Andrew, talking about getting some grateful, right?
Yes.
About looking at our life and the things in our life that are great, as opposed to the things in our life, right, coming from a place of abundance instead of a place of lack, and looking at what we have. And then, of course, acceptance, right? Right, as they say in that big book, is acceptance is the answer to all my challenges today. And they say that because it's the truth. Because when I'm not accepting what's happening, you guys, it's like being pissed off when it's raining. Be pissed off. It ain't gonna make it stop raining. If it makes you happy to be angry because it's raining, go for it. But then you're spending your, and such a simple thing to look at, but then you're spending that time and that negative energy paying attention to something that you have absolutely no control over. And to take that one step farther, I also have absolutely no control over how you're feeling this morning, Jan. And whether you like the group or you don't like the group, or whether you're happy or whether you're sad, or whether you like me or you like her, or like her, it doesn't matter. I can show up to my best to do my best, be as grateful as I can walking through the day, and understand that the universe is turning the way that it's turning, and it ain't all about me.
So should we do a quick check? And if anyone wants to jump into the conversation, hop into our waiting room. Just if you're on Facebook, send up a message and we'll send you the link, or you click on any of the events anywhere that we are, and you can do a 3-event brand.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So let's start this week, so we have some new
Lots of
people.
This brought up when I lost my weight. I did a Groupon for a photo shoot, and I didn't realize how painful that was, because I never saw myself as the thin person. Like I was doing everything recovery, but there was something about seeing myself in those pictures.
What was it about seeing yourself in those pictures?
They were beautiful, and I didn't own the beautiful, well, they were beautiful, I didn't own the beautiful, and then I was afraid because I saw myself beautiful, and then I'm like, how am I gonna maintain it? Like I was doing whatever I had to do just as an automatic or faith, but then the reality was, how do I maintain this? I don't know.
So we're talking about ego, right? And we're talking about what my opinion of you is, and how I see you as opposed to how you see you, right? So how do I maintain this false beauty that I have on the outside? Guys, getting skinny doesn't make us happy. Whether you're an anorexic and you go down to 90 pounds, or whether you've weighed 756 million pounds and you get back down to 100 pounds, it doesn't make us happy, and it's a lie, right? It's not authentically what's happening. It just happens to be a fact about calories. So I lost some calories, so I lost some weight, so my body, if I take a picture, looks like this. And spiritually, I'm sick and suffering just like I was before I lost the whatever 100 pounds or whatever it is, right? So your outsides and your insides were completely different human beings. And your outside was what somebody else's opinion of you was going to be. And you weren't afraid of losing yourself because you had no idea who you are. You're afraid of what Brian's opinion of you is, right? And that's the change that we do in recovery, is taking a look at ourselves and understanding that we can get some happy here, and that his opinion of you, first of all, is none of your business, and second of all, it doesn't make you who you are, man. What you do and how you show up is what makes you who you are, not how you look to somebody else.
You know, when you bring that up, and that touches on certain things,
by the way.
Really important, and it brings up certain things for me, because there were certain times that I didn't feel that I was good enough. So there are gaps in my kids' history. I mean, there are so many times that most of the time my kids were growing up, there are no photographs of me. I don't exist. I was the one taking the photographs, and I was the one doing things in the background, but you don't see me. I just don't exist. And as an addict, I was always a time traveler. So it's either in the future or in the past, but it's never in the present, you know. And one of those things are, when I look at pictures, sometimes I can't believe, firstly, that I've aged or I look the way that I do, because I've missed gaps in my life that are so big. And then also part of that is losing time, is we just kind of all of a sudden have to deal with other things that start popping up as we start getting older. But stepping into that space, I still battle to go shopping. I don't know what bra size I am. I don't know what size clothing I am. I still have my image of myself is so distorted. I'm still working on that. So that is such an important thing, especially for us.
Yeah. So for food addicts and anorexics, you guys, we all have crazy body images. Like, I don't know if any of us know what we look like, right? I'll be shopping with Angeline, I'll pick something up big or pick something up small, and I'll be like, does this fit me? She'll be like, no. So that body image thing where you guys used to laugh at me when I said, you know, I don't think that I could fit in the bathtub, and it's something that everybody goofed on me for quite a while, and it wasn't a goof for me. It wasn't a goof for me. It was my truth. So the way that we see ourselves on the outside, and so what happens is the less we look at ourselves on the outside and the more we have an understanding of what's happening inside of us, that lets us present, show up, do our best to do our best, be of service, put some positive energy out there into the universe and move on, as opposed to me worrying about what size I am, because maybe you're gonna like me today if I look perfect in a size 0 jeans.
So I wanted to just bring something out, because I know that there are people that join us from different places and with different addictions, but for us, the way that we look at it at One Way for Recovery is addiction is addiction. You know, whether you're cross-addicting, whatever you're using, it is what you're using to take you out of your headspace, that you don't need to deal with yourself at this time and stuff that you're obsessing about, where you're living miserable, ashamed, guilty, and you can't stop. It's that obsession, that mental obsession. And for some people, and when we started talking about it, food is the one that people look the most down on. You know, it's the one that people laugh at because we're food addicts, denigrated. And many times I've been in the rooms that people who are in recovery and have got lots of recovery are extremely overweight, and they, you know, we can justify why using other things is okay, but when we're using, no matter what it is, you're using. And for many people who have bariatric surgery, because they don't step into recovery, what was the percentage of people that become alcoholics?
30% of everybody post-bariatric surgery, according to Google.
So if you're an addict, you'll find something else to pick up, and it could be gambling, it could be people, it could be cigarettes, it could be anything that it is to use.
Right, and alcohol is really convenient because it's inexpensive, it's down the block, everybody's got it, and you only have to drink a little bit to get buzzed, right? Because your stomach is nice and tiny. So cross-addiction anyway, normally, usually, people who have one addiction could usually find another pretty simply. And you guys, it's never about the food, and it's not about us starving ourselves, and it's not about the coke, and it's not about the gambling, and it's not about the opiates. It's not about any of that. It's about where we are spiritually. It's about why am I stuffing myself? Not what I'm stuffing myself with, but why am I stuffing myself? What feelings do I refuse to feel? Again, you guys, feelings are just feelings. Just because I have a feeling doesn't mean that the earth is going to explode and I'm going to fall in. They're feelings, right? That we could learn to look at and learn to deal with and learn to live with and learn to learn through and move on. And for me, most importantly, do my best to do my best so that I can be of service to the community.
And you mentioned learning. That is a huge thing. So one of the things that we do is we offer workshops and we teach. This is what we are doing, is we want to enlighten and we want to teach and we want to assist people on the journey.
And so we do that too.
I definitely saw the ego flesh, because I was going to ask you, because I always feel with a lot of things I do that I am a spiritual person, but then that ego, as I was going to ask, talk more about like the getting spiritually, but I never saw the ego take over the spiritual.
So I think it depends on your different, so you guys, it's like talking about God, everybody has their own God thing, right? Or doesn't have a God thing, or what that word spiritually means to you. And so in some of the A groups, they talk about spiritual principles behind whatever their step stuff is. And for me, that's what spirituality is for me, because that works for me. And so when we talk about spiritual principles, faith is a spiritual principle. Honesty is the first spiritual principle. So when we're talking about being spiritual and ego, are you being honest with yourself? Are you being authentic with yourself? Are you showing up and being who you are? Or are you showing up and being who you think Ahmed wants you to be? How Ahmed wants you to look? That's not about you spiritually. That's remember, ego is what I think your opinion of me is. And when I have no true feelings about myself, I will allow your opinion to make me who I am. So if you like me, I'm gonna have a happy day. If I look at the scale and it says I lost 6 pounds this week, I'm gonna have a happy day. Those have nothing to do with me. It's stuff that's happening there, but it's not stuff that's happening inside of me spiritually, right? Was I happy today? Was I helpful today? Was I kind? Was I honest? Did I persevere, right? Did I learn through something? Did I walk with integrity? Did I reach my hand out to somebody else? For me, when I use the word spiritual, for me, you guys, spiritual means getting some happy. That's the end result of spiritual. Just like the end result of addiction for me, besides being in treatment in Tennessee, is being horribly broken and unhappy. And so for me, spirituality is the opposite of what my life looks like when I'm in active addiction. So I'm not sure how you define, spiritually, that you want to be helpful, that you're kind, that you're all of those things, because you are. I know you. But are you honest with you?
I think I just saw, because I got very emotional, it was the game of playing the ego, or like now that I'm thin or whatever, like out there, like people didn't know me, where I was protecting myself from the spirituality, and then going out because I had enhanced my world or whatever, but that ego was like took over. Like I didn't quite cross the bridge the way I wanted with my spirituality. I let it go. Like spirituality was more private versus bringing it along with whatever I do in my world.
Yeah, and so when we talk about ego, we talk about losing ourselves. And having that feeling of nothingness and emptiness that eventually we will stuff with something if we don't learn how to feel better spiritually.
Yeah. And yeah, I get that, and I am clear, not the person I'm today, but I'm clear I probably was just as manipulative and wanting everything and the glory or whatever, because I thought that was the prize versus the getting to happy. Like now that I'm not in that addictive state, like pushing whatever that fake world or ego world looks
right. And remember, so we're allowed to have worlds where we're working great jobs and we're making lots of money and we have nice things, and all of that stuff is a plus as long as it doesn't define who we are, right? As long as my weight doesn't define who I am, right? I'm doing my best to do my best, so I'm eating clean and I'm doing the next right thing, and that's part of how I live my life. Just like I'm not on 100 milligrams of oxycodone today. I mean, it's just the way that we're living our life, right? But the more important part is how I feel about me and what I have to offer back to the universe.
So I just want to put something out there. If anyone wants to ask a question or add anything or say something, just raise your hand and jump in. It's a discussion. We're having a conversation.
Yeah, we're just talking. Thank you so much, because what you said is super important, and it's something I would imagine that every single one out there of the 3,000 people that are going to watch this today have had that conversation with themselves. So thank you for sharing that. Thank you. Just real quickly, you guys, we talked for a second last time about how, you know, sometimes people don't share because they don't think what they share is important. I don't know if you thought what you shared was important or whether you thought it was stupid but there are like zillions of people that need to hear that. So thank you for showing up and for sharing. Do you want to say anything? You want to check in and say hi?
Hi, I'm Brian. I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Brian.
I was just thinking quite a bit about the faith, is where I didn't, I had different thoughts on faith before I got into recovery, where, and I could not get to the fourth step until I really found what my God was and how he took care of me through everything I did. You know, that was it's really an important part. I always look back and, you know, I couldn't get a fourth step under my belt until I went back and found God. You know, found my spirituality, found that he took care of me through the rain and through everything, you know.
Yeah, and that the world was turning the way that it was, right? And that you weren't in charge. Right? And so much stuff was going on, and nor did you have to be in charge, right? And so when we give up that, you know, those clenched fists that we think that we are in charge of so many things that we're not, it makes our life a whole lot easier, right? Because then we say, well, then that's all. If I'm not in charge of everything that's going on around me, really the only thing I need to do is show up and do my best. And that makes life a whole lot easier, right? Is to know that that's my responsibility, just to show up and do my best.
But that takes a while to get to.
Yeah, of course.
You know,
which is what you were saying, right? You didn't get it when you first showed up, so thank you.
It took me quite a while to get through the fourth step, but, you know, they're pretty early on in the steps, and if you grasp onto them.
Yeah, we don't do step work here,
Oh.
so we don't. That's okay, because we're not affiliated with any of the A groups. We just talk about our recovery, and what you're talking about is super important, because you're pretty much so talking about showing up and being scared, right, and not having faith to begin with. Yeah, so thank you so much. Thank you. Hi. You're going to share today?
I guess the only thing I have to share is, and it's going to be awful, but I'm feeling really uncomfortable.
Good.
welcome.
Welcome. Nice to see you. Jan, how you been feeling? Yeah, uncomfortable.
That's how I
She's
walked
new
into
too.
the room.
Yeah. Congratulations. We all feel uncomfortable when we first walk in here. That means you're a part of us. That makes you the same as everybody else.
I just don't, like I don't think that I'm an addict.
Oh, okay.
Like, I don't, like, I mean, I'm fat, but I'm not, like, I don't think I'm an addict.
Okay. All right. So do you ever wake up in the morning? So this is going to be my definition of addiction, you guys.
Okay.
My definition, and so here's the thing. There are people that drink too much, and there are people that are alcoholics. I can't decide that for somebody. Only somebody can. Right? There are people that party sometimes, and there are people that overeat sometimes, and they're not emotional eaters. And they don't wake up in the morning like today and say, hey, you know what? Just for today, I'm going to eat clean. Right? And they go through their day, and it's 10 o'clock or 2 o'clock or 5 o'clock, and they haven't. And they go to bed feeling a little bit guilty, and they wake up feeling a little ashamed. And they kind of have the efforts because whatever, it's Friday. So I'm going to do the same thing over again. And then I'm going to, we say every time we picked up on a lie, right? I'm going to bullshit myself a little bit and say it's okay because I'm going to start that diet again on Monday. For me, any kind of behavior, anything that I'm doing to help myself feel differently, instead of looking inside of myself to feel differently, and anything that I'm doing that I feel at times that I have no control over, and I'm doing it anyway, and it makes me feel scared. For me, that's the definition of addiction. That's how I define my addiction. So, and that's a personal thing. So for us, we're not a diet club because we don't care about how much you weigh, because it's not about that. It's not about the food. It's why am I doing what I'm doing? Why am I doing? How did I get here? How did I get 100 pounds overweight? Right? Because other people who aren't food addicts or aren't emotional eaters, They go out on the weekends and they're going on vacation and they eat an extra piece of chocolate cake, and then on Monday they say, wow, you know, maybe my triglycerides are going to go up, so, you know, I'm not going to have dessert for 3 weeks or whatever. You know what I mean? Like those things that, and then they don't think about it. So no one's calling you an addict, and I'm really glad that you're here. This is some discovery, and again, we talk very, very, very little about the food or about any kind of addiction. It's just about our perspective, understanding the stuff that's changeable for us and what's not changeable for us, right? Not walking around scared, and understanding that who I am is my business, to show up and do my best, to do my best. That's it. So your uncomfortability, everybody feels uncomfortable when they're here. So that's normal until we get not uncomfortable. And you'll decide for yourself, are you an overeater? You know, maybe you just eat too much. No, I'm saying that's a decision you'll make for you, sweetheart. No one here is judging you. Nor does any, you know, I use this expression, I don't care, and it drives Angelique crazy because it doesn't mean I don't care about you. It means I don't care why you show up. If you get anything out of this meeting or the next meeting or the past meeting or whatever, there's anything that anybody can reach out their hand and help you with, then we're glad to be of service. And I'm still really glad that you came. Because there's a reason that we get, you know, I wasn't an alcoholic either. I don't know why I fell down the stairs and had a concussion and broke my leg and couldn't speak. I don't know how that happened, because really I just drank a little bit too much. I wasn't an alcoholic. And I could have stopped using pills anytime I wanted to, right? And I could have started eating again, no matter how scared I was. I thought I had all that shit under control, and I didn't. And so I needed to wake up one morning and say, I don't have this under control, right? And I need to learn to change the way that I'm viewing the world, so that when I'm scared or lonely, right, when I'm fearful, that I'm not going to something else to stuff myself or starve myself for that empty feeling, to change the way that I'm feeling, right? And I don't have to wake up this morning and think, how'd I get so drunk yesterday? I remember when I relapsed, and I was like, I don't know how I relapsed. And I'm like, oh yeah, I know how I relapsed. I ate the fucking pills, pardon me. So that's how I relapsed, by the way. But you know, what was the why before I ate the pills? What was the why before that? What was going on with me that allowed that opportunity, that afforded me the opportunity to think that it was okay to do that? And so when you look at yourself, you look at yourself and say, hey, you know what, I'm an overeater and I'm gonna stop. I haven't tried dieting 15 times. Everybody that I talk to in this room who's an emotional overeater would tell you you've lost and gained over 600 pounds. Ange, how many times have you lost and gained 100 pounds? You've worked out 73 hours a day and whatever, and all of the stuff that everybody did. Thank you for shaking your head, Sarah. Serial dieting, where I've lost 50 pounds, I'm gonna gain 65, I'm gonna lose 75, I'm gonna gain 43, I'm paying attention to the scale, I'm supposed to be doing this, all of that chaos and crazy in my head, as opposed to just living life the way that it shows up, learning how to be grateful, understanding that there's a whole lot of stuff I'm not in control over in the world, and getting some happy. So that's what we talk about here. So welcome, and then you'll make a decision as to whether you wanna be here or not be here, or whether you think that addiction, you know, addiction's such a bad word. You know, we go through absolutely everybody. We could find a whole lot of addicts that don't describe ourselves as addicts. For me, my recovery is very black and white, right? There's no problem to fix unless I find what the problem is. And my problem is that I'm an addict. That's my problem. My solution is in this room. So that's all. No judgment from anybody in here.
You know, I was having this conversation as well. This label of addiction has gone, and it's something that each of us put a different emotional attachment to.
Right.
So it's either good or it's bad or it's something, but there's something like an attachment to it, that we have this picture of what it looks like. For me, it's been a blessing because it's given me a path to living my life. It's given me tools to be able to utilize and techniques to be able to utilize. And it took me a long time to step into it until it reached a stage where I was just so broken in so many ways that I never knew what else to do. And you don't need to make a decision today, and you don't need to make a decision tomorrow, and you don't even need to make a decision a month from now. The thing is, and we each have our own journeys, and what brings us here is different, but for many of us the feelings are exactly the same.
Right.
And that's how we communicate with each other. We learn from each other on a heart-to-heart level with things that we can identify with. And the more we come back, the more we hear our stories, sometimes being told by other people. And that's how we observe us. Because when we have another person who's been through where we are and have got the courage to speak up and share, that is our greatest opportunities for growth and learning. And that's all it is really learning about the most amazing person in the world, which is ourselves. The person we've been around with the most and the one we give the least amount of time and opportunity for growth and listening to is ourselves. We'll give it to other people.
Yeah, and so when you talk about addiction, you know, in the beginning, you know, I was a drug addict, alcoholic. They were just overeaters. So I was a worse addict than they were. So you guys decide that if I walk in the room, and I've never shut up, but that was I guess a yet thing, right? So if I walked in the room and I have a needle sticking out of my arm, that makes me worse than you, or worse than you, or better than you. It's not about the needle hanging out of my arm. And it's not about you're 150 pounds overweight. It ain't about that. It's why am I doing what I'm doing?
To hurt myself.
Yeah, why am I living this life like this? Why? What is it that needs to change inside of me so that I can get some happy? So that I'm not so scared? So that I understand that the world is turning the way that it does. It's just a word, you guys. If I can define myself as an addict, then right now I can define myself as someone who's in recovery. And recovery is all the cool kids are in recovery, right? Recovery is an awesome place to be. Recovery is an awesome place to live. Just like we get sick and we recover. We get addicted and we recover. So we do recover, you guys. We get better. We get well. And so again, absolutely no judgment, nor does anybody care why you're here. They just care that you're here, and if there's some way that they can lend a hand, then I know that everybody in this room is more than happy to do that. That's all.
Nancy, you had a question.
Yes, Nancy. Hi, Nancy.
Unmute yourself. There we go.
Hi. I'm not really commenting on what you're talking about specifically,
Okay.
but earlier you were talking about cross addiction. That's kind of scary to me because I feel like I want to start smoking again. Or
So does she.
So do I every day.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say that last week we were talking about forgiving others, and I finally got it. Only took me 59 years, but I finally get it now about that it's only us that we're hurting and not the other person.
Right.
They don't care what or they don't know what you're thinking anyway, so it's just yourself that's going around and around in your mind and driving you to eat or driving you to drink or whatever you're doing.
Right.
So, yeah, so I finally got that. So that was an eye-opening light bulb moment for me.
So that's a really big deal, Nancy. Thanks for sharing that. And so that's a really big deal because we don't realize when we walk around in indignation and pissed offness, the only person that we're hurting is us, right? I could be pissed off at Laura. She doesn't even know it. I'm spending the day, I'm calling, hey, you wouldn't even believe what Laura said. She did this, and then I'm at work and I'm going to take a break and Jan's going to come in and say, Jan, you know what? You know that girl that you saw in there? Well, you know, she said this and she did this and I did this and blah, blah, blah. And I have all this crap in my head, which certainly doesn't allow me to do my best. And certainly doesn't allow me to be of service, right? Because I have all of that negative stuff going on in my head. Instead of getting some happy and going through my day, doing my best for myself and others, right? So the only person, and Laura don't even know, because you know what, right? Laura talked about this. I'm gonna show her. I'm just not gonna talk to her. Okay. So now I'm not talking to her, so she has no clue, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so super important. So when we walk around angry and resentful, the only person that we're hurting is ourselves.
So I just wanted to add on something to that. So you're not talking to the person, you're pissed off and an aggravator. And for me, when I'm in that state and one of the kids come up to me and go, I want this or I need this, I go, can't you see I'm busy? And I blow. So when it comes to the people that I'm really close to and I love are the people that I take their frustration out on. So that's my go-to behaviors, and that's what the end of my cycle looks like when I sit in that space.
So again, a bunch of chaos and negativity around that. Yes, ma'am. Yes, well, say it, girl.
Well, it was relevant before, now it's not probably, but somebody was asking, so we're talking about recovery, how do they get it? Where do they begin?
Good question. So, I'd like for some people, actually, Sarah, I'm going to call on you as far as that goes. So getting some recovery first, you guys, we get clean. So we let go of our drug of choice, because as long as our brain is clouded, whatever receptor in the brain is clouded with our drug of choice, we're not going to be able to step into any kind of recovery. And so, can I talk openly about you, or you want me to be quiet and let you talk?
No, you can.
So you're a binger and a purger, you were, right? You were however many more pounds you were overweight, and now how many less pounds you are, you know, I don't care, so I don't know what that looks like. But, and can you talk a little bit about how you got some recovery when you came here?
Well, for me, it started with, like you said, just many years of my life.
Speak up, baby.
Many years of my life, either starving myself or binging or vomiting down the toilet all day or whatever, to treatment centers, and until 8.5 months ago when I couldn't do it anymore. I didn't know what the next day would look like for myself. And it was actually my mom who found me this group, and that was amazing. And I was so desperate to do anything to get myself better, because I was so low. I was like to the ground. So but I just had to sort of go with the flow and take the advice of what you got, you know, just go with the flow of the group. And as far as like not picking up, you know, not eating those, you know, foods that aren't clean. Like, I didn't understand what that meant at first. I told my mom, I'm like, well, she said no rice, potato, starch, whatever. And she's like, well, how do you do that? You can't, you know, live your life and not eat another piece of cake. I was like, I don't understand that either. I didn't get it at first. I'm like, I don't get what that means. Until I started doing it. And as time passed on, my brain wasn't so addicted. Like, I didn't have to pick it up, you know, go to McDonald's or whatever the heck it was that I was eating. And you know, I think that's what led to my brain not wanting to go and vomit down the toilet, because I wasn't picking up, and, you know, I was eating clean, and it helped my brain.
Right, and so it did. So you cleaned out your brain, and then you cleaned out your head a little bit, right?
I did.
Because you used to walk around in a whole lot of chaos, and you present much differently now.
Yes,
And so you've learned, because I've seen you learn, to step out of some of the chaos and let other people's BS be their own BS, right? And understand that your opinion of what Angeli is doing doesn't change what Angeli's doing, right? Whether you're mad or happy, or she's still gonna do what she does, and that's not your responsibility, right? That you guys, we can change two things. We can change our perspective, or we could change our actions. I can't change your perspective, and I can't change your actions. I do what I do. And understanding that, because when we first met, you were in the middle of a whole lot of chaos in your head. Whether that chaos is real or not don't matter, because it's in our head, right? So it's real to us, right?
Yes, it was very real.
And you've learned to step out of that. A whole lot of stepping out of that. And where you used to present as a petrified child when you came in here, you present so much more calm. When there's something up, you're not afraid to talk about it, right? You're talking with everybody, you're sharing, you're of service. So you're doing all of those things and working on spiritually getting some happy, right? And doing the next right thing. Understanding that your next right thing doesn't mean that, you know, your next door neighbor's doing the right thing, just that you are.
Right.
So thank you so much, Mama Love. Thank you.
Thank you. And I just want to add that for me, years of my life, I was up and down with weight, either starving or binging or purging, whatever I was doing. So now let's say I'm not doing those things and I'm at a stable weight or whatever, and most people that see me, what's the secret? You know, everybody wants to know the secret. And people ask, and that's okay.
Of course,
because, a lot of people are suffering, and they tell me, they start clinching on, they tell me. And I know that they're, they're asking because they're suffering. But I just want to add that just because you lose weight and, people may think, oh, you look amazing in this, it doesn't mean inside that you feel amazing. And now that when we talk about ego, when I was in my addiction and still, because that's a control thing, the way I look today, when I lost a bunch of weight, I would be out and about. Not that I would feel secure because I'm still a bit, but I'm still an insecure person. I'm working on not being so insecure. And then when I gained a whole bunch of weight in a short time, that's when you would never see, I would be stuck in my house. I wouldn't I wouldn't go out, I wouldn't see anyone. And that was my ego, because the way you thought of me mattered to me. And that still scares me. I still walk around like that. I still sometimes let the scale dictate the way I feel today. I'm working on changing that. But just because you lose weight or whatever, it doesn't make your world all magical. You have to work on your head.
Thank you.
I would love to say something. So when people, firstly, you're totally different. You're a different person that walked into the room that we met 8.5 months ago.
Yes, you are.
But when people ask you about the secret, tell them to come with you, invite them to a meeting, bring them here, let them get the secret, because recovery is possible and recovery is awesome.
Right? It's a little bit different walking around how you are now than as scared and suffering as you are when we first met you.
So isn't it funny, most of us come into this room, as food addicts, and we go, how are we supposed to live without food? We need food to live, okay? And I promise you, every single person here has had that thought going through their head. And I used to have arguments with you. Didn't we go through this often in the beginning? Yes, we did.
Yes, we did.
So what does it come down to?
Okay, so here's the deal, you guys. If I'm allergic to shrimp, and if I eat shrimp, and someone's gonna have to call 911 because maybe I'm gonna die in the next 30 seconds, I don't eat shrimp. So, I have to tell you, in AA, I heard somebody say, I'm allergic to alcohol. Every time I drink, I break out in handcuffs. So, if you have to look at it as an allergy, okay, then look at if it makes it simple enough to say, I'm allergic to starch and sugar, then tell yourself you're allergic to starch and sugar, which means not that you can't eat it, because I could eat shrimp and let them call 911 and see if I live. It's not that I can't. I could do whatever the F I want to do, right? It's just not a good choice for me at that time, because maybe I'm gonna die today, maybe I don't want to die today. But, so let's just say you have an allergy to those foods. There are 100 billion other things you can eat. So that's the best excuse, is saying, well, you're a drug addict, you don't have to do drugs. My thing is food, I have to eat, yeah, but you don't gotta eat the shrimp, do you? You don't have to eat the things that keep your body in active addiction, that keep that dopamine receptor firing, that keeps you wanting more, that keeps you with that physical craving and mental obsession and keeps you in the middle of that chaos, part of the chaos in your life. You don't have to do that. So, are you clean from starches and sweets?
Yes.
Have you died?
No.
Oh, well, congratulations. You died? You died?
No, I eat amazing food.
Yeah, you do actually.
I do. I'm
It's
a rich,
stuff,
great
man.
I know you always say this, but you haven't said it yet for today. You don't need starches to live.
You don't?
No.
You mean if I don't eat chocolate cake, I can still live?
Yeah.
And if I don't eat spaghetti, I can still
even
live?
less so than the chocolate cake, you don't need bread or potato or rice or the things that we all think of or used to think of as major parts of our diet. You don't need those things.
Correct. You don't need those things. And people are like, you can't live without carbohydrates. Eat broccoli. It's a carbohydrate. Have some cucumber. Have some strawberries. They're carbohydrates. They're just not starch. So they don't raise your blood sugar and they don't stimulate that dopamine receptor. That's it.
I just want to say something. So with that not being able to live without starches, you may live longer. Because for me, I know what happened to me is the minute I was doing all those stuff, 150 pounds heavier than I am now, blew out my colon, lived with a colostomy bag, did all these fabulous things, nearly blew out my knees, my hips, my back, all that kind of stuff, because I was really sick, and that is my allergy to those foods. So we may get a little bit of healthier, and we may be able to live a little bit longer, and we may just feel a lot better than we're feeling at the moment. So if it's not working, so let's say you try this and you're abstinent and you step into this and it's not working, take the misery back.
All of it.
You can take it whole back again.
Forget about taking back the weight.
So one of the things that we said is anyone who signs up for the workshop, yes, you will get it tomorrow, is getting your abstinent, the clean.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so we'll do that, yeah.
It's a food plan, it's a clean eating
It's their
food plan, it's a
suggestions
basic
that we
suggestion.
follow. Yeah.
It's not a plan. It's like
Right, it's not a plan,
It's a
they're just
food
suggestions.
Okay, I'll being able to clean up the dopamine receptor.
Yeah, pretty simple. So just some of the stuff that we do. And,
So
you know,
sign up.
let me ask you a question.
So sign up.
So sign up.
For the workshop.
Right, Mom says sign up for the workshop.
It's on
so sign
Saturday.
up. It's next Saturday, right?
Yeah, it's coming
yeah,
up
yeah,
Saturday.
yeah. Today's Sunday. It's on Saturday. The thing is too is that even just having to think, like having to think, how can I live without ever eating spaghetti or rice or potatoes again, was me thinking, you know, how do you go to a bar mitzvah and not do a toast? How do you not have a drink on New Year's Eve? It's possible, right? Because we do it, right? You know, how do you, so all of those how do yous, all of the stuff that we're scared about is part of our addiction. Because I'm going to tell you something, I might not live to see the next bar mitzvah. That's first of all, because I don't know what the universe has in store for me. So I'm not going to worry about what's going to happen in December on New Year's, because I don't know where I'm going to be or if I'm going to be on New Year's. That's first of all. So I know that for today, I could show up, I could do my best to do my best, I could reach out my hand to someone else, I can be grateful, I could look back at my day tonight in gratitude for the things that were, instead of being pissed off about the stuff that wasn't. All of that stuff I am in control of. And whether I eat clean or I get high, that's up to me. Whether I look for excuses to stay in active addiction is up to me. Just like if I look for reasons to get well. All of that stuff is up to me. Those are the things I am in control of. Yes.
Again, off topic. Someone has a question. So they're doing their version of the right thing, but they're still eating like 4 to 6 cups worth of veggies. So I guess what they're trying to say is they're binging on healthy food.
Okay.
We've both done that.
Yeah. So everybody's, didn't you used to eat like 83 cabbage things a day, right? Yeah, and so remember, the behavior's the behavior. If I have to sit down at the table and I'm going to eat broccoli, but I'm gonna heat up 6 bags of Green Giant frozen broccoli and I have to eat it at one time, it's still an obsessive behavior, a compulsive behavior. And so join the workshop Saturday. It's super cheap to join, and so you're gonna get a whole lot of your money's worth out of it. And we'll talk about stuff like that, because we really don't talk about the diet stuff that much. But that's an obsession and a compulsion. And so we can learn to binge on anything, right? And so we do as bingers. So
Because it's not what we're eating, it's what we're stuffing.
yeah, exactly. So thank you for saying that. And so we say that it's not what we're eating, right? It's what's eating us, right? What feelings are we stuffing with what we're doing?
So, do you want to go around the room? Because we're
It's
only
10:23.
Yeah.
Who wants to share? Because we have a couple
Yeah.
of minutes left. Okay, thank you, Jan, for sharing today.
Oh.
So, so you're new, so I'm gonna call you out all the time. Sarah used to hate coming here. I used to call her out all the time.
So with the addict piece, I've already accepted that piece. It's just now I'm learning, or I'm starting to learn, that there's other aspects, there's other things that I'm also addicted to that I wasn't before. And again, that applies to the whole cross addiction thing and everything. So I'm at a place where I know that, because I've already gone through that stage of like, okay, yes, I'm not an addict, I just like this, that's it, I just like sugar, I just like flour, I just like that. So I'm already past that piece, but it's like, okay, so then there's some loss, or there's some gain, or then there's some loss, and it's just the crazy, like it's just the crazy. And the fact that the crazy is there, it tells me that I'm still addicted. So, so I'm at that place where it's like, well, you were talking earlier about the hopelessness, not hopelessness, the feeling nothingness, that I'm still trying to do the thing, but I feel nothing.
Okay, good.
There's so much going on in my head.
So I know that you have to speak. Just wait one second. So I'm gonna tell you, and I've said this, sometimes the smarter you are, the harder it is. So you have a whole lot of education behind you, so do I. We've got all these beautiful letters after our name, and it's taught us a whole bunch of stuff in a book. And first of all, we wake up in the morning and we say, and I don't care, shame on us, because we're supposed to know better. Like we're smarter or better than you are, and we're not, right? Because, you know, addiction touches anybody for any reason, right? There's no prejudice with addiction. So you're an intelligent thinking person, and I know that one of the things that has to be going on in your head is you should be able to wake up in the morning and say, yeah, you know what? Okay, I'm an addict. I've accepted the fact that I'm an addict. Now I should be better, right? Because I have an understanding of what's going on. So it still doesn't change our perspective. It just gives us some factual material for us to say, okay, now I stated the problem, now I gotta fix it. You know? Okay, the sink is leaking. I see the problem, how do I fix it? And so now it's fixing it. So you've accepted the fact that you're an addict. Awesome, right? Because now you've got something to fix. And now that fixing is going to be stepping into recovery and learning to do the things that you will do that not only are going to help you, and we've talked about this, but let you be a ridiculous amount of service to the community, because of the community that you get to work with, that you get to touch the lives of so many people every day. So yeah, so it sucks, right? You're like, okay, I'm an addict. I should be better. It's, you know, it's already 10:30 in the morning. Like I said it at 9. So what's the problem? So it didn't take you 45 seconds to become addicted. And so it's going to take you longer than 45 minutes to step into recovery and to learn to let go of the behaviors and to learn about that acceptance stuff and the stuff that we talk about that everyone's like, yeah, I'm accepting. No, you're not. You know, you accepted the fact that you're an addict, and that's important. And now it's going to be about letting go of the control that you think that you have, that we make believe that we have, and all of that stuff, and learning how to. I'm going to tell you that people that have done the workbook, Laura, Sarah, Ange, people that have done the workbook, we learn a whole lot from the workbook, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and so it's a whole lot of scary, a whole lot, you're sitting all the way in the back today.
I know I came in late.
A whole lot of scary stuff, right? We do a whole lot of sharing and some crying and some whatever we're doing, and a whole lot of learning about who we are, why we show up the way that we show up, and the stuff that we need to work through so that we can be more happy and less scared. Yes, ma'am. Just wants to share. Okay, give me 1 second.
Okay, because we also started, we got 3 minutes left. I just want to say that there also is real loss. You know, we lose that best friend of ours that was our go-to fixer. And that's also part of the learning, is how to deal with that loss and fill it with really good, healthy other things.
Yeah, and we actually did write goodbye letters to our addiction. We did, because of what that addiction meant to us and what it afforded us, right? Jess, you want to share?
Yeah. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Nice to see everybody. I just feel today's meeting's been quite painful, to say the least. But that's good. It's obviously touching a raw nerve for me. So I think what sort of touched on today is this thing of, for me, I sort of relate to this thing of not knowing what life would be like if I was completely sober. Well, I say completely sober. I don't think you can always be 100% sober, but at least more sober than what I am now. And just that it feels hopeful to be sober, but there's an awful lot of fear for me as well, because it's not knowing what it will be like. There's
Jess, did you write your goodbye letter?
No,
I want you to write a goodbye letter to your addiction, and I want you to IM it to me or post it in What's Eating You.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's my challenge for you for this week. I haven't been giving out challenges. That's my challenge for you for this week. Okay, is to put up your goodbye letter. Anybody else that wants to repost their goodbye letter on What's Eating You, please do so.
Put it out as a challenge.
Okay, I'm going to put it out there as a challenge. I'd like for everybody to repost. We've done it a bunch of times. Angela, can you remind me to do mine? We're going to repost our goodbye letters. Let everybody take a look at them, because it's some really scary stuff and some really ouchy kind of stuff, right?
Right. So we have a closed Facebook page, a group called What's Eating You. It's a closed group, it's a private group, that's where we post to. We have a lot of new people, so it means writing a goodbye letter to your addiction, whatever it is, and posting it because it helps, sharing helps us get better and helps us heal. We only have
1 minute. I just want to say hi and welcome. We didn't get a chance to pick on you, so I don't know if that's a good, bad thing, or if you're just here for support or whatever, but whatever had you show up, I'm really glad that you're here.
And
Ange?
We have a lot of people asking how to sign up for the workshop. Can you tell?
right, so it's on Eventbrite, Why Wait for Recovery, or if you click on any of our events
And
on
excuse me, I just put the
Facebook.
link in the comments of the Facebook.
If
view.
you go to our Why Wait for Recovery page on Facebook, it says book now. You just press that button and it will take you straight through to where you sign up. It's really easy, it's a one click. It's on Saturday, it is from 9:30. It's probably about a 2-hour session. You'll get posted some homework to do before you actually get there, and also we will be sending out that clean eating suggestions this week as well. We meet up again on Thursday at 7 to 8. Our new time on Sundays is from 9:30 to 10:30, because for us locally there's actually a meditation class at 10 o'clock. So whoever wants to stay here, please stay afterwards. It's a great class. And do you want to take us?
Yeah. So I want to give a shout out to a Anjali, thank you so much for your service today. You guys, thank you for being a part of my recovery. Everybody that shows up in the room, people that we didn't get to, Laura, hi, we didn't get to talk to you today. Anybody else that didn't get to Sharon that we didn't get to speak with, we'll get to on Thursday. So please come back. Thank you for being a part of my recovery. This is our White Wait for Recovery Sunday morning community meeting. My name is Dr. Felice Cellini, and I am blessed and so grateful to be in recovery.
And if you didn't get a chance to share on What's Eating You. Don't hold it in. If you can't, it's unhealthy, put it out there and share amongst friends. We're non-judgmental. I wanted to say thank you so much for being part of my journey and allowing me to be part of yours. And if no one's told you today that they love you, I love you. And
Peace out, you guys. Recovery is awesome. I'm inspired.
Oh, whoops, I lost it. It's still going.
I'm not sure.
Hold on.
Oh, yeah, the restaurants.
Okay.
Okay.